The following podcast may contain spoilers, strong language, graphic violence, and nudity. Viewer discretion is advised. I have to take a shit.
Four guys and a movie. Four guys and a movie. Donnie, Brian, Rob, and Joe reviewing movies for the show. Four guys and a movie.
In a world where Brian asked me to start the podcast with this voice, four idiots review a movie. Let's see how it goes. Tonight we are reviewing Masters of the Universe from 1987.
I'm Brian.
I'm Joe.
I'm Rob.
I'm Tony.
Can I help?
I forgot the actual intro in that.
Sorry.
So yeah, Masters of the Universe. Thoughts? Anyone?
I am still trying to process what I just watched.
Let's start with who saw this previously.
I loved it as a kid.
I've seen
I saw it multiple times as a kid.
A bunch of times.
Same
I've
here.
only seen like Nostalgia Critic pick it apart and maybe a few other people online. Yeah, I did not know I was getting into. I thought I knew.
Yeah, any review will only give you a small portion of the horrors that you will bestow. But, yeah, so I also watched this a lot as a kid. I loved it. I liked the cartoon when I was younger as well.
Which has nothing to do with the movie.
No. It's not even called He-Man in the Masters of the Universe, because He-Man's not even in it.
I think they say his name was 10 minutes in, but at
I believe
least
so, yeah.
like,
Oh
It's a
yeah,
waste.
I mean, Dolph Lundgren is there, but he's not. He has no powers until the very end of the, and even then he doesn't really have any powers.
I'm pretty sure by the actual definitions, he is not actually He-Man till the end, just before the ending credits, when they're looking into that orb.
Yeah, pretty much.
so yeah, so Dolph Lundgren is supposed to be playing He-Man. I don't know any of the other actors. What does it say in anything?
Yep.
You got Frank Langella as Skeletor.
Yep.
Oh yeah, Courtney Cox is in the movie. That's
Yes,
some girl.
Skeletor is
It's a
Frank
random girl.
Langella. It's not Jack Palance. No, with that makeup on, he really looks like Jack
It really
Palance.
does. It really does.
Poor Meg Foster playing Evil Lynn, and with her, do we want to get into that?
Her crotch trauma.
Yeah.
I didn't. Never mind. Let me stop.
You would traumatize her crotch.
I'm sure that's where he was going with that.
So her outfit was so heavy and just so cumbersome that it actually crushed her crotch.
It left bruises. I believe it weighed around 50 pounds. Prevented her from sitting down.
Groinal bruising.
Which is funny, because she really didn't need all that, because she didn't do much. I guess probably because she couldn't move in it.
Well, while we last minute IMDb, the movie starts out with the Superman theme.
It really is just Superman.
Yeah, left like 2 notes off the end, and that was it.
So, Bill Conti, you have some explaining to do.
So let's start that ticker to see how many things they rip off as we go along.
Yeah, like the first minute of that movie is just a barrage of ripoffs. Because I mean, like I couldn't help but think about 2001: Space Odyssey with the credits when they're flying by, like when he's going in the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then like they go in the painting of Castle Grayskull, and like we see Skeletor and his troops, which are just straight up from the Death Star. Right out of Star Wars. They're just the guys that fired the super laser.
Even parts of his costume are very reminiscent. I'm pretty sure, like I said, it was just what was left over from Darth Vader and Palpatine. They just threw it together, and that's Skeletor.
Just slap some high heels on him, though, too. You clip-clop down his little hallway.
Yeah, I was actually surprised
Some
though.
play on his face.
I mean, I expected him to suck more, but I was okay with that costume.
Yeah,
it was the 80s. I mean, I gave him a pass on that.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't
For
bad.
the
just...
most part, the costumes
Yeah.
were decent.
I mean, I could have used a
Yeah, he did.
That actually
No,
won
Yeah.
some awards for its costumes back in the day. It did.
Okay.
As well as a Razzie, but we'll get into that later. So yeah, the Death Star troopers show up. They kidnap some people.
They kidnapped the sorceress.
Yeah, they start with the sorceress.
Yeah, so he's already won in Castle Grayskull. Like,
Yeah, right from the
he's
back,
captured
from the
whole
start.
thing. Like, what seems like it would be a compelling scene to watch, it's just glossed over.
Yep.
The troops are outside holding their guns to the Eternian militia?
There's like 4 guys.
It was
Yeah,
just
I
four
I mean,
guys.
I think he won because they didn't have enough budget to put up a defense in the film.
Pretty much.
No, but they explained how they won so quickly as when they introduced a new character to this He-Man universe. This guy, what was his name? Gwildor?
Gwildor.
Well,
Yeah, the worst thing ever.
He is worse.
our Razzie winner himself.
Yeah.
Played by Billy Barty.
True to Hollywood fashion, we have all the source material to draw characters from, and you just make up a shitty one on the spot.
He was like, we took Orko and Snarf and put them together.
Yeah, that's
And, like,
basically what you
That is, yeah.
That was it.
I'm
I
pretty
refer
sure.
to him as Snorko.
Orko.
Snorko it is.
Or I like to say, if you took if any of you are old enough to remember the Boglin toys, they were rubber hand puppets. If you took one of
man.
those,
I forgot about those.
stretched it out over a bath rug, and then just put it on top of a midget, that's pretty much what you're dealing with.
Yeah, I mean, it
Sure,
looks
they
like,
just coated him in tar before they put it on him too.
it looks like someone pinched his cheeks and kind of stretched him out, and they never went back. Just sagged over his beard, all gross.
That's some scrotum face going on.
Yeah, that was just terrible.
Battling.
You gotta remember, this is way before CGI and everything, so, like, besides his gross-looking mouth, there's, like, Billy Barty's mouth is immediately behind it. If they try to hide it with some black makeup, it doesn't work.
It's the worst.
It is just the worst.
Yeah, so you have his slow moving lips, and every once in a while they will open large enough for you to see inside, and it's just grotesque with his actual mouth moving at a normal rate, and his tongue wiggling around. And
It's kind of like a combo of the mouths on the faces from Planet of the Apes and the Ewok mouths. They're little gross.
that's about it.
It really is a horror show.
But this new character, for some reason, he's a locksmith that can make magical keys that open portals to wherever.
Right, but he's from a race that is so peaceful they don't need locks.
Yes.
But he's a locksmith.
And that race is also super trustworthy and trusts everyone. But they need to lock stuff up.
They're gross.
They learned their lesson fast when they met other people.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Well, it explains how he
Well,
had
not well
so
enough.
much time to make that key to the universe.
Yeah,
You know, he had no actual work to do.
I'll give you that.
Well, yeah, I guess it's a different kind of key he was working on. But yeah, unfortunately, they didn't learn well enough about people because he trusted Evil Lynn and basically was like, I want some pussy, so he gave her the key that allowed them to take over Grayskull.
Well, I think he probably thought she was wearing a chastity belt. He wanted to unlock it because he was a locksmith.
Her name is Evil Lynn. Like, I know you have trust issues, but come on. Like,
Anyone wearing that much mascara named Evil Lynn, you do not trust.
don't give her keys to the universe.
For that matter, don't trust anyone with a hyphen in their name at all. I mean, that's really just good practice.
That's a rule of thumb I live my life by.
Sorry, the entire Midwest, if you're listening.
They're not.
Now that we've validated half the public, let's move on.
Would you give Billy Bob the key to the universe? No, you would not.
So, in comes He-Man and Teela and Man-at-Arms.
They never say Man-at-Arms' name in the whole entire
Well,
movie.
he does.
I think they did say once.
He it's not his name, it's his title. He says, I'm whatever, Man-at-Arms to the king.
Oh, okay. So I was waiting for it. I just
Kingdom
must have
of
missed
whatever.
They certainly
Yeah.
didn't miss a chance to say woman in arms.
Yeah, no. But Michael Bay guest directed this portion because everyone is sprayed with baby oil for the first 10 minutes of this movie. So disgusting.
Speaking of Michael Bay, I forgot to mention, right when the credits end, they explode. Like the whole credits
They
just
explode,
fucking blow
yeah.
up.
Oh, that's
And then you're in the action.
This is just one of those 80s movies where everybody at all times just looks dirty and gross and sticky.
No, because they were.
Yeah. So half of this was filmed in a desert. I'm pretty sure they were just dirty, gross,
Yeah,
sweaty,
it's
and
just
stinky.
like,
And yeah,
Ugh.
you don't want to know what Gwildor looked like under that mask.
Oh, God.
Poor little guy.
Well, actually, in the trivia I was reading about the movie, like, a common theme was, like, everybody under those costumes was just disgusting in sweat. And there were, like, areas in the costume where it was pooling up and, like, actually weighing them down.
Oh, that is horrible.
These costumes, they were designed with no kind of creature comfort in mind.
Well, they just painted Stormtroopers black, and then
Yeah.
that's all it was.
They're still painting tigers at that point. So,
There are no tigers in this movie, and I'm upset about it.
no tigers.
Cringer does not make an appearance. But so He-Man saves Gwildor from being captured.
Really crappy fight choreography.
Yeah.
Really bad.
Yeah, the choreography in this movie is
It
terrible.
really, that was what kept taking me out of it. Was just it looked like no one gave a crap. Like they just said, like, all right, wave your sword around and then shoot the pistol.
Well, it looks like they filmed the first day of practice.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I think, a big part of this is they were probably on quite a budget. They, obviously the actors were not comfortable in these outfits. Some of them couldn't see, some of them couldn't move. So you're not going to get good fight scenes out of that.
They hadn't figured out the shaky cam fight scene.
no, so
Thank God.
They compensated for that with just super close-up fights.
Yeah. They still did not know how to film these scenes.
Yeah.
Like half the time you're just looking at Dolph Lundgren's face and pecs.
Yeah, you just
Well,
kind
yeah.
of see the sword swing by the camera.
Yeah, one of the
That's
first
what
guys
it's
he kills, it's just like you just see his nips, and the guy died somehow.
Well, I mean, it is Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah.
You might die from seeing his
Yeah.
nips.
His nipple might
like
have
all
fallen out.
sparks are shoot out of him and crap. I guess that's what would happen if you looked at Dolph Lundgren's nipples.
No, that's when Skeletor, he talks about his master plan, because he has to, because he's the bad guy in the 80s movie.
Well, here's the thing I noticed about this movie. It's got a ton of dialogue, a ton of exposition for what's just kind of a garbage throwaway movie about a kid's toy line.
Yeah, just to
Like-
say that he needs the key, and he needs the key by X date. Like, they do a lot of exposition on
He
that.
just goes on, and they're talking about all this backstory about Eternia and He-Man.
That was another thing. I think a lot of it is, the backstory about Eternia, backstory about He-Man. Basically trying to fit in that this is He-Man when it clearly was not written to be a He-Man movie.
That probably is it. Because, even the key, from the start of the movie, they don't need it. Because he already has his own.
Right.
And they don't need the other one. But he wants it to stop them from using it to stop him.
Yep.
like, it's literally, this is all, I want it so I can stop them from using it to stop me.
Yep.
Like,
They use the key to sneak into Eternia and get the drop on them, so now he's worried about these pack of, 4 people?
4 people.
Doing the same thing to him and his
Don't even
army?
capture Wildor. Just break the key that he has and cut his hands off.
that's it. Movie over.
That's it.
Alright, well, next week we'll be talking about
Yeah, well, there's still an hour and 40 minutes.
10 minutes into the movie.
So, Skeletor does his exposition. They manage to escape because basically they just bullshit and pull a little dance maneuver, much like in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, this is when they tried to rescue the sorceress.
Yes.
Yeah, it failed.
And fail.
Yeah, you just press a bunch of buttons on the key and they jump out.
Yeah. He-Man distracts Skeletor long enough for Gwildor to activate the key. And they jump to a different dimension.
So look at how shiny I am. And then, they just jump. They run away.
You know, one thing I just realized, I think both Tila and Man-at-Arms never actually, do anything in the fights. I think they really just look busy.
Yep.
The
Yeah,
whole
pretty
time.
much.
I can't think of any contribution they actually made.
No, the whole movie, except 1 or 2 scenes.
Well, yeah, they
it's
occasionally
He-Man fighting
fire.
15 people by himself.
Yeah.
But did they do anything in the cartoon?
Sometimes.
You shut up! You shut up!
They did a lot more. I will say this: if you want to go cartoon versus movie, they didn't do a lot in the cartoon, but mostly because they weren't even there.
I mean, his hand would turn into a mace and other things.
Okay, calm down.
Okay, so
Sorry,
they jump through the portal, and this little grappling hook comes out and grabs the key, and we all thought it was Man-at-Arms.
Yeah,
Because
everyone-
that's what he would have done.
Yeah.
And it's
Actually, no, it
Gwildor.
wasn't.
It wasn't.
Gwildor.
It wasn't even.
Well, I forgot.
No, it's alright.
But you know what? The minute I saw that, I remembered the chicken part.
Yep.
Because that's the only part of the movie I really remember well, and it made me vomit in my mouth.
Well, the chicken part is next to happen.
Yeah,
on the
we'll
bus.
get to that.
I also remember the one part that really stuck out with me is their first encounter with a Earthling, which is a cow.
Well, before that, though, just for no reason, I think they went for some slapstick comedy or something. Like, they pull Gwildor, who's just face first in the mud thrashing around, where they should have left him. Like, they pull him out, and he just plugs his nose, and just shoots earwax everywhere. Like, just everywhere. Like a fucking double dare event.
I don't believe it was earwax.
Well, it was
Either
water
way,
or whatever.
Yeah.
It was all over
It was
over
gross.
Tila's chest and face.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
gross,
it
and yeah, he
was.
did give Tila a facial.
It was everywhere. Like everyone was just like, whatever. That happened in front of me. I'd be grossed out forever. Like, my day would be done.
Just start vomiting everywhere.
I mean, but if you look at Gwildor's face, I mean,
Yeah.
it's.
Yeah.
I mean, what
Well, I
are you
think,
gonna do?
I think that's part of the problem, though. Like, off the bat, you're kind of throwing up in your mouth a little. Once he does that, there's no holding back.
He is expectoriating
Yeah,
at
it
every
just-
given moment.
It caught me by
projectile.
surprise. I just yelled at the horror.
It
of
broke you for like
the
2 minutes.
concept of ear vomiting.
Yeah.
I was just shocked that
Yeah.
that's what got you.
I don't know. I think I had my defenses up for everything else, and just that angle I was not ready for.
The troop starts running around, trying to figure out where they are.
The worst perimeter search ever.
Yes. Where they come across whatever Kentucky Fried Chicken wannabe this was. Kenny's Chicken?
Something like that.
It was Robbie's.
Robbie's Chicken, right? I'm sorry. How could I forget?
Chicken and ribs.
All right. I'll tell you, Robbie's Chicken was doing something right, though, because all of those employees had sidearms.
They do. They all
They had
That's
like
true.
a cowboy theme. They all had pieces.
America.
I've been saying at my job for years I need to be carrying a gun.
So, they enjoy some chicken. They steal some chicken.
That's the thing. Gwildor the chicken thief, Keymaker chicken thief.
Yeah, I thought he was super trusting and never had to lock
Yeah,
anything. He's
exactly.
stealing
He
shit.
uses his grappling hook to steal chicken,
Oh.
and then
I think we're figuring something out here. When they say super trusting, they just mean we assume everyone's going to take shit from everybody else.
Yeah, well, plus Gwildor's innocence for that has been shattered. Like now he's like, oh, I could just steal shit.
first of all,
Oh, yeah, we taught him a new thing.
let me just say that Gwildor eating a rib is probably the most disgusting and disturbing thing that's ever been put to film. That said, my notes just say Eternians are lazy pigs, comma, Tila is an idiot.
Tila is a-
Yeah.
Which, by the way, just if you're going into the disgustingness of Gwildor eating ribs,
I'm not.
let's not forget.
I'm leaving it there.
Let's not forget, though, he starts it out by drinking, I believe, gravy. He just
Barbecue
Barbecue
sauce.
It was barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
Okay.
Poured it all over his
And
face.
drinking is kind of in quotation
Yes.
marks. He basically just poured it
He
on his
just
face.
poured it
Right.
down his front
Yeah.
because he couldn't get his horrible mouth parts open enough to actually get.
That's the
anything
part that kind of
inside
got
of it.
me.
Yeah. So,
Oh.
but once he gets the chicken, it's like the Eternians that had just arrived on this planet in this universe. Just sit down. Just sit down in the grass and start eating. He-Man is off trying to find the cosmic key or whatever, and they're just chilling, eating a bucket of chicken and ribs.
Pretty much everything involved in that scene failed.
Yeah.
Everything.
Failed, yeah.
Yeah.
The people making out in the car didn't notice a fucking grappling hook launching their car. Whatever, like, grip off the side of the set was actually operating the grappling hook did the shittiest job possible. I can't even describe how crappy it looked. Yeah, and then,
Yeah,
like,
the angles on that shit, it's amazing.
Tila could not figure out that chicken came from an animal.
Yeah, she's eating it.
What are these,
What the
what are
fuck
these
did
white
she think it
things
was?
in this food?
Yeah.
What are these white
Why do
things?
you
in
put food on these weight sticks?
And then her
Yeah.
father said, Tila, and then just slapped her.
Yeah, and then, like, Gwildor couldn't drink the sauce. Yeah. And then fucking Man-at-Arms instigated the whole thing because he was just like, perimeter search, fuck it, I'm gonna go find some food.
Yeah, I'm hungry.
Yeah, everyone just sucked.
And that's minute 15 of the movie.
And that's about where my notes start tapering off.
And you know what, really, at that point, Dolph Lundgren, or He-Man, should have just been like, I don't need any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, the movie could have just been about him at that point.
In fact, if none of them survived the trip through the portal, we all would have been better off.
Yeah, he wouldn't have had that problem at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is where we introduce Courtney Cox's character, the Earth Girl.
Yep.
What's her name? Julie? Something like that.
Yeah, Julie.
With her dead parent subplot for
Yeah,
no reason.
for no reason. Well, they had to set up for that scene later on,
Yeah.
but
So-
yeah. But her and her boyfriend find the key, and they're like, "Oh, what's this? It plays music." So he thinks it's some sort of like some sort of like keyboard from Japan or something that lights up and
Hangs out in the graveyard.
hangs out. Well, her parents had died, so that's why they were there, I think.
Like, he immediately jumps to the conclusion that it's some kind of keyboard. Or,
Yeah.
Yeah, even though it's the most like Lord of the Rings ass looking.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, first of all, if you weren't afraid to touch this thing from the beginning because you thought it might be a bomb, the minute all those little blade pieces or whatever on the top start spinning, I would put that shit down.
it looks like it came off of a torture droid from
It
Star
does.
Wars.
It absolutely does.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it struck me as kind of like a lightsaber mixed with like Isengard, like the top of the tower. Yeah, it did not look.
Kevin apparently really thinks so, so he starts playing and doodle around with that while Julie looks over her dead parents.
Wait, what?
Before moving.
You mean their graves? Not.
Yes, I mean their graves. Because apparently she's moving to Jersey.
Away. She's moving away.
I'm
Across
also
country.
confused as to what that whole point was. Like, she's, 17? Her parents died in a plane crash like a month ago. So she's dropping out of school and moving to Jersey?
Isn't that what you would do?
I don't know. They never really explained what was happening. I'm assuming she's moving with some relatives across country. I'm assuming, but they never say it. So.
Yeah.
No, she's moving by herself because she's got to get a job. She can't go to school, so she's got to go somewhere where education is not necessary.
True.
Yeah.
New
True.
Jersey.
I mean,
Fair
did
enough.
I even say what state
Sorry,
she's in?
New
It
Jersey.
was, they said it was 3,000 miles away, so I'm assuming California.
That's how they handle orphans and stuff there.
So,
Like, their
Jersey.
state welfare system is just they
Send her to
banish.
Jersey.
If you're from New Jersey, listen to this. I'm sorry.
Send them to New England.
Southwest, you're on your own. Jersey, we apologize.
Little known fact.
No, I'm just saying I'm sorry.
Bruce Wayne's parents were killed in California.
Yeah, so he's dicking around with that. I think he wants to take it to whatever, I guess, a show he's playing for his high school
This is
dance.
like senior prom. Or,
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a musician, I guess. So
Yeah.
So he takes it back to the school. She wants a minute to, walk around the school. And suddenly she's attacked by our group of bounty hunters.
He left to go sell it to Charlie.
yeah. So the last day he's ever gonna see his girlfriend, he decides to leave her at this dance by herself. Leave her at the school by herself. So he can go.
He seems far more interested in everything else but her.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Whatever.
she's grieving over the graves of her dead parents, and he's dicking around with some weird bomb he just found in the hole. But anyway.
But yeah, so like,
Well, so, hold on. Everything though with Kevin's behavior could be explained by he's like a pre-college male. Like his priorities are totally out of whack.
I guess stop justifying shit, Joe. God.
If
All
that's
right,
the
all right.
case...
If you had the choice between spending quality time with your girl or dicking around with some like fancy Japan keyboard you found in a hole, yeah, you know which one you would have chosen at that time.
Shut up, Joe. Stop justifying stuff.
Yeah. You are correct,
This is
but...
Courtney Cox we're talking about here, though.
Yeah.
This is...
Yeah.
1987 Courtney Cox, I might add. But, if that is the case, this movie should not have been about them as a couple. He should have been a very minimal character, if anything, and written out very quickly.
There were a lot of characters in this movie.
No, they needed him because he has perfect pitch, so he needed him for the end of the movie.
Or then get rid of her.
There
They
were
needed
not.
her for that scene toward the middle of the movie. They needed her for that. I don't know. Listen.
Yeah,
I
wait,
don't
no.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really.
Anyway.
Like every movie that follows this stale plot formula, they have to add the two human characters that you don't need.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They just have
The
to be there.
human connection, because
Yeah.
people couldn't possibly sympathize with an alien or whatever.
Just like Transformers in the
Or-
80s. They had to have the little human kids.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Rob.
Or why Shia LaBeouf
Whatever.
keeps getting shoved in the movies now. Or
Do it! Just
Mark
do it!
Wahlberg or whoever. So she's attacked by our group of bounty hunters, which includes...
Blade,
Not-
Beastman.
Not Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, not Wesley Snipes.
the poor man's Trapjaw.
Not the Beast from Beauty and the Beast.
Or
Not
Kelsey Grammer.
Not Predator. not, yeah, or Kelsey Grammer. Not Predator and Geriatric Critter.
He looked like so many different things though, because I thought of him as like the troll from Willow, just really old.
So yeah, he was kind of like Alright, he's a troll from Willow, he's a troll from Lord of the or an orc from Lord of the Rings. He had David Bowie's hair from Labyrinth.
Sure did.
But it was white.
And his codpiece.
And his codpiece. And he looked like a critter from Critters. That just...
No, honestly, he is one of the bounty hunters from Critters, had sex with one of the critters, and that's what we got.
Yeah, and they waited long enough until he had to take, like, pills every day for his heart and other things before he was in this movie.
One of his hands had already fallen off.
Yeah, he had
Yeah.
one hand. He had one
Seen
hand,
rough times.
and the other hand was like Bob Dole grafted onto this little other fork.
Bob Dole.
Bob Dole.
So he was just not.
Bob Dole's peanut butter.
Yeah, he was not capable. And yeah, then there was.
Yeah, I like that it wasn't even like a pirate-style hook. It was basically a fish hook.
Yeah, it was
It was
like
weirdly
much.
serrated.
I didn't even
It
notice
didn't-
until the end of the movie.
It would look like it would break off.
they would definitely break off.
Bottom line, these mercenaries suck.
Yeah, they were
Yes.
terrible. And they were trying to kill Courtney Cox, and they failed at it. They weren't even trying to go after He-Man at this point.
Yeah.
Just trying to get Courtney Cox.
Well, I mean, He-Man showed up and stopped them. I mean, like,
True,
well,
but they
yeah.
had a terrible time just dealing with Courtney Cox
Yeah.
and managed to set the school on fire and cause all kinds of trouble. Beat up some old man that was in a closet.
They beat the crap out of the janitor. So they wanted that. They wanted janitor beating up.
So, you know, He-Man shows up. He fights them off with some more bad fighting choreography.
This really is. It's just four people in suits that they can't see and or move in, and they just unleash Dolph Lundgren on them. There was no choreography. It was just like, just go fuck them up, Dolph.
Yeah, I think one of the best scenes was when the little critter one yells at them to chase after Courtney Cox, and you can see at least the other two, if not the third one, just having trouble seeing, and I don't know where I'm going. There's a fire over there. I don't want to walk into that.
Did you call him Little Critter, like Little Critter from the Mercer Mayer kids books?
Sure,
He is now.
Oh, that's actually pretty great.
it's pretty accurate.
My biggest letdown is that since the choreography is so terrible, it's not like Rocky, where Dolph Lundgren was legit beating the tar out of what's his face, Carl Weathers, and he was like genuinely pulling all of his punches and swings because a lot of them obviously didn't make any contact.
Yeah, he really is just shoving people around.
Yes, with his big Bud K catalog sword.
Which so far he's far more as a shield than an actual sword.
Yeah, he used it mostly for deflecting lasers.
Yeah, for a character that possesses like a legendary magical sword, he just shoots a pistol a lot.
Yep.
whole lot.
Yeah,
That was the other thing, like, so He-Man, I guess it really does. But Castle Grayskull was always like super just a castle.
pretty much.
They
Yeah.
had flying vehicles and stuff like that, but Castle Grayskull was just a castle. But like in the movie, it was like all teched out, had all these like spires with lights and everything going on.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, they
Just
really.
struck me as funny.
I guess they were trying to blend more the idea that there's technology in this world of some
I
kind.
guess they're probably just trying to sell a new Castle Grayskull.
Probably. Yeah, because the technology was weirdly convenient, although I guess more so in the cartoon. But
He gets Courtney Cox. He meets up with Tila and Man at Arms.
correct.
Oh yeah, they all meet up.
At this point, the boyfriend, quote unquote, that was trying to sell this new device he found reluctantly realizes that the school where he left his girlfriend is on fire, and finally goes back to see if she's still alive.
Yeah, this part of the movie, just a whole bunch of stuff that didn't need to be there happens.
No,
Yeah.
because he's
Starting with the introduction of our lieutenant.
right,
Mhm.
played by
Some bald guy.
That bald
that
jerk.
bald guy from every
Yeah,
That's-
bald jerk
He's in
from
like
everything
every
else.
80s movie. The bald jerk from Back to the Future.
Yeah, he was the principal in Back to the Future and every other movie that
James
came out.
Tolkien.
James Tolkien, yeah. So he's a police officer. He doesn't arrest Kevin, but he apprehends him.
Tries to...
Takes his stuff.
Well, at this point, he's trying to just get more leads with him, so he follows him back to his girlfriend's house, which they go to for some
He
reason.
doesn't follow me, he takes him.
Yeah, he takes
just
them,
takes
Yeah,
yes.
he
him.
pretty
Sorry.
much does just unlawfully detain
Yeah,
this
just
guy.
takes
Yes.
him.
He enters the house without a warrant.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he starts taking stuff.
Yep. And Courtney Cox, being with He-Man and the rest, decides that she's going to call her own house for help.
Which she lives alone in.
Yeah, because her parents are dead.
Family's dead. Yeah.
No one lives in the house but her.
But
It worked out.
Plot reasons, she calls her own house, and hey, guess what? Her boyfriend's there with that police officer.
So he tries to, I guess, kind of tip her off to the fact that he's with the cops. So they decide it's not a good idea to head back there.
No, they head right back.
No, they tell
Yeah.
she tells them just to stay there, and that they're all going to come.
yeah, he
Alright.
leaves with the key.
He
And
just
then,
takes it and is like,
and
I'm taking
that's,
this.
that's when Beastman
Well,
and not Predator show up.
Before then, though, he totally fails at making some fried chicken.
That
in
is
the
true.
microwave.
That is true.
I mean, that wasn't
Alright, 'cause
really
this
his
is-
fault. Like,
Yeah.
somehow the Evelyn's troops and stuff have a way to like track the key whenever it gets used, and so he started pressing buttons on it, which activated it. And so when they were looking at tracking the key, there was another signal, which was the guy's microwave making some chicken. She's like, whatever that is, destroy it. She blows up his microwave somehow.
Well, chicken interferes with that sensor.
Well, I mean, because you want to stop and eat it, so it makes
Yeah.
sense, you know.
We actually did miss a kind of important, well, not really an important scene, but one. There are very few important scenes. But one I found messed up, where the mercenaries went back to Castle Grayskull and reported back to Skeletor, and like they're like, spare us, give us another chance, and whatever. And he's just like, I'm not in a giving mood. It kills the one guy that hasn't said anything yet. Like,
No lines.
Yeah, just straight up murders that guy. Then he's like, all right, the rest of you get another shot.
Take Evil
Yeah,
Lyn.
and sends Evil Lyn back with them instead. So,
Tired of her complaining about her crushed pelvis.
yeah, he tells her to get the sand out of her vagina and sends her back
Pretty
to
much
her.
said that. He pretty much said that. Her face surprise was like, what? I gotta go?
Yeah, and at this point, the lieutenant, being the only one who apparently thinks this device could be dangerous or, some kind of tool of mass destruction,
Well, I mean,
decides to take it with himself.
in all fairness, his philosophy is something I don't understand. It must be bad. I gotta shoot it or take it. One or the other.
No. He doesn't take it to the police station. He takes it to the keyboard
Takes it
store.
to Charlie.
Yeah, to Charlie at the music store.
Yeah, I understand his reasonings for doing this aren't very good, but he is the only one that had the sense to be like, this thing could be dangerous. Like, no one else in this movie.
No, but his
seems to
whole
get
reason
that.
was I don't believe you got this. I think you got this some shady way. I don't believe you, so because you look like a punk kid. Like, it could have been anything. It could have been
was
a
also
guitar.
right, though.
Yeah.
He did get a shady right. He found it in a grave, an open grave.
No, it wasn't. It just was. It just landed on top of a bush.
It was in flower bed.
Flower bed,
It's
yeah,
a
flower bed.
What's more harmless than a flower bed? Nothing that came from a flower bed could be bad, is all I'm saying. I'll cut this out.
All right, cool.
Now I'll leave it in. I mean, my notes at this point just say the dialogue in this movie is nonsense. And how can it possibly be like a kid's movie?
All my notes for this movie were Orcully plus Snarf. All my notes for the movie.
Yeah, it's actually at this moment I have just stopped taking notes. I made one note at the end. Other than that, like,
Yeah, I have two more after
I know
this.
we're setting some of these scenes out
You guys
of
did
order.
better than us.
and getting some of the plot points wrong here, but like none of this matters. We're actually getting to the point now where we really catch back up with the plot.
Well, the only reason I take any notes is because I am terrible at remembering the order of a movie, the scenes. I'm terrible at it. So I have to write down like something that happens in each scene so I remember.
I often do that myself, but yeah, that's why, folks, if you hear us having more gaps in this or getting a bit more lost, it's because at this point ADD kicked in and we all...
Don't apologize.
Yeah,
They get what they
yeah.
get. Don't apologize.
We don't owe an explanation. It's He-Man. It's Master
Yeah, I was not apologizing. I was explaining.
You
But
get what you get and you like it.
Look, they could watch the movie and see if they can recite it in order.
Well, we'll deal with that in our recommendations.
so,
That
yeah,
might actually be a challenge, like a contest.
at this point, since the officer and Kevin are at Charlie's, And all Siege on Charlie's begins to take place. This is when Evil Lynn, the bounty hunters, He-Man, and everyone just converge on poor Charlie's.
We forgot to mention their shitty attempt at a He-Man vehicle.
Yeah.
Would like to try and describe this?
Well, to me, it looked like sort of like an airboat, but like with like a triangular shaped body, and it flew in this like shitty like wavy arc, making this like noise as it went. Like it flew like 20 feet off the ground. Like it was the least sneaky mode of transportation. And it's slow as shit because like they're like, we gotta go to the music store and left first, and we're taking a direct path there. And the fucking Cadillac that He-Man's driving in gets there first with a lot of time to spare.
Yeah.
To be fair, Wildor somehow souped it up to have a jet engine or something.
It was just lights in the back that made it.
Yeah, I know.
funny noise.
I found some LEDs.
We ran on neutrinos.
Yeah.
But like
Which are so much easier to come by.
with the Star Wars
funny.
theme, the little skiff, the little boat that they made looks like a speeder bike mixed with like the skiff from the Sarlacc pit.
No.
Like
No, it was a fan boat they threw a tarp over and they filled it out. And then just cut out the whole
Question
water.
for you.
Yes.
When did the Neutrinos in the Ninja Turtles come out that drove around in their Cadillac?
I don't know, but maybe Wildor created them.
Or ripped them off?
Yeah, probably.
yeah.
Judging by our tally, probably that one.
So the only explanation I can think of for why this thing sucked so much is because they had like 50 people on this thing, and it really was not
It
that
was
big.
a parade float.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was just out there in the air.
Mhm.
What, did they have a cloaking? Did they just throw a blanket over
Yeah, there was
it
no
to float?
explanation
Yeah.
as to why no one seemed to see this or react to it.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm pretty sure the military would have been called in if someone had spotted that thing.
Or like no one reported
Or-
the sounds of
Honestly, I don't
lasers.
think
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
I don't know how the military wasn't reported once they laid siege to poor Charlie's.
Yeah, like I don't think anybody lived in that town. There's just never ran into anybody.
Well, no, but that's the thing. When the school was on fire, the place was abuzz. There were people outside watching. There were cop cars and fire engines and all kinds of things going on. But yeah, once, a military unit basically comes in on a spaceship and starts firing lasers at the storefront, no one seems to notice.
I mean, like this store literally was like picture your living room at home with like full of instruments and counter space stuff, and then cram 50.
Yeah, we're not talking Sam Ash
Stormtroopers
here.
in it.
This is a mom and pop shop.
Yeah, it was like it just kept pouring in through that front window. Like, I don't get how. I mean, I know it was just a repeat of the same guys jumping in the building, but it just looked like it was like 50 people going in there.
And everything was on fire.
Everything.
There were lasers blasting everywhere. Yeah. Man at Arms throws a straight up like German like potato masher stick grenade.
It really was.
It was, yeah. It was just
Yeah.
a straight up like World War II era German grenade. Frags a bunch of them with that and pretty much destroys Charlie's shop.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
leads to my theory that Eternia was actually created by the Nazis, and that's where all that tech is from.
I would explain a few things.
I'll explain Gwildor.
Yeah.
Experimentation.
No, nothing explains Quavo. But yeah, I don't have an explanation as to why at this point the lieutenant does not believe any of their stories about where they came from, where this thing came from, how it works.
I don't know.
Well, everything going on in the back room during this fight scene, though, that's another one where everyone involved is doing the wrong thing. Maybe except Gwildor. I think he's the only one that's like, hey guys, maybe we should just move the key.
This is the one time
Trying to fix the
Gwildor is on point. He's not only trying to fix the key, but then the officer and Kevin get into a fight because Kevin has the gun and he's holding the officer there while everyone in the storefront is handling the army that's coming through the windows. Courtney Cox just leaves because she sees her mother.
Yeah, she's got an "Is that you, dead mom?" moment.
Yes. So yeah, she sees out the window her dead mother walking down the alleyway. So she decides this is a good time to just walk out, go say hi to her, I guess.
I mean, it's straight up the scene from Spaceballs. I think Spaceballs came out after this movie, but it's just straight up that scene.
It is. I almost wonder if Spaceballs didn't get it from this movie.
They were all in like Lord helmets.
Like, straight up while I was watching it, I had to yell, "Fooled you!"
Which tip to anyone that does dare venture into watching this, just kind of pictured Lord Helmet's lines over everything Skeletor says. It made it so much better for me.
Yeah, but so Evelyn is disguised as Courtney Cox's dead mother, and she's like, "Hey, I know, like, I've been dead for all this time, but I really need that cosmic key for some reason."
Yeah. We are secret scientists that help create this cosmic key or something. We need it somehow, so please bring it to me and I can help your friends.
Give me that.
So Courtney Cox totally believes that and is ready to go and get it for her, and does, in fact, just do that.
Betrays everybody.
It was
But,
the old snatch and grab.
Yeah, meanwhile, back in the back of this shop, Kevin and this officer are fighting, and Gwildor just takes the gun and starts firing to shut them all up. The one time he's done something right.
A boogie shouts, "I'm trying to work here."
Yeah.
Charlie does nothing useful, but in fairness, his livelihood is being destroyed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Insurance will not cover that. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, suddenly has to realize there's this little goblin-y thing with a melting face that's in his shop, people firing lasers. It's a lot to take in.
Although, if he
That's
has
what
a
she
closed-circuit television system there, though, he'll be a millionaire off that footage. Like, that'll be on World's Scariest Things for years to come.
I partly agree with you, only because later they're able to get a keyboard from the shop, but otherwise I can't imagine there's anything left. Yeah. But so, at this point, Courtney Cox runs in, ignores whatever anyone else is saying, grabs the cosmic key, brings it out to the disguised Evelyn.
And no one was even like, "Hey, stop."
Yeah. There's no,
Like, what are you doing?
or even why are you doing this? Where are you going?
What's it? Like, Kevin tried to follow her, but the door was glowing really pink.
Yeah,
Like, so pink he couldn't open it.
and it immediately jumps to a shot from outside, and there's nothing going on with
Nothing
that.
going
There's
on
nothing
it
going on.
was magic.
So now Skeletor has both keys.
Oh,
Well, no, Evelyn has one of the keys at this point.
she's about to get him the key when He-Man comes by and takes it.
Oh yeah, because he jumps on the little
Speeder thing. where-
flying surf.
It's that thing that Cloud Kicker's flying around in a tailspin.
Wasn't
Oh
it?
yeah.
It's just that.
I thought that was a boomerang. No.
That was more of a boomerang. This is a flying disc.
It's
It's
like
close
a metal
enough.
croissant that he flew and
It wasn't
glided
a
around. I mean, that's generally what this thing had a motor. His was a glider.
It was a Roomba. He was flying around on a Roomba. That's what it was.
I gave this movie a lot of passes on the special effects. It was the 80s. Until this. Yeah, that, you are disengaged from the movie when you see what goes on these little speeder bikes.
He-Man at a 30-degree angle.
Yeah.
Yeah, no sense of movement or adjusting anything. He's clearly just standing on a thing in front of a green screen.
And then, all the other, the bad guys on these things just explode into pieces when they're hit. They shatter like they're made of porcelain.
Well, they're 80s bad guys. They're made of dynamite. That's
Yeah, who
just how
knows
it
what they're
works.
made out of, yeah.
Like they're birds in Birdemic.
Oh, but it's terrible. The whole scene is just terrible. He flies by, he's got his little grappling hook arm thing from Gwildor, and he just snatches the key out of Evelyn's arms. The best she can muster is, "No!"
Not even a good, loud Darth Vader no.
And they all just watch him fly down the street, and they're like, "Oh, maybe we should do something about that."
I was like, from this point on, there's only He-Man on one of these gliders and one other dude. At any point, there's only one other dude for him to fight. Send a, battalion of these guys after him.
Well, speaking of, that's when Skeletor shows up, right?
Well, yes, this is when Skeletor shows up. He comes through the boom tube. Which, at this point, I should mention, it was pretty clear. I know others have discussed this and brought it up. I guess technically it's still rumor. But this was supposedly written as a New Gods movie, which makes so much more sense if you know the story of the New Gods with Darkseid and Orion and his whole clan. Even Little Critter Guy is probably Granny Goodness. Think about it. It makes more sense. Well,
I don't know.
as much as anything in this movie
It
does.
sounds to me more because they didn't really jump on superhero movies, especially something that kind of niche.
But that's why it never got made as a New Gods
Superman
movie.
really was the only thing that was out, right?
Yeah. But again,
I mean, that
that's the
really
idea.
old
This
Batman
was
movie.
a spec script that someone was like, no, that's not going to work, but let's make it He-Man.
Maybe.
Which would also explain why this has nothing to do with He-Man.
I think it's probably more like, hey, we want to make a movie out of this toy line. You have 5 days to write it.
That is entirely possible.
5 days being generous.
Yeah. But I mean, even Orion is
5
known.
days to write, produce, and direct.
Yeah.
That's better.
Orion is even known for flying around on one of these flying Roomba kind of things. So
Yeah, but it don't matter.
anyway,
Probably
yeah.
it's just stuff they were trying to make into toys.
Not that any of it would make any better. Make any of it any better.
Was there even a toy line for this movie? I don't even remember a toy line for
there
the movie.
were.
I
There
had
were a few.
I had the Sauron, the Soren toy, and
There was a blade, and there was
he
the
shot
Gwildor.
sparks out of his mouth.
Huh, okay.
It was actually pretty cool.
There
I
was
like,
a Gwildor
I like
toy.
to smell it.
Back in the day when toys were just straight up fire hazards.
Yeah,
Yes,
pretty
they
much,
were.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Choke hazards, fire hazards.
Back when your toys gave you scars.
Just a little bit of fluid away from being a lighter. At this point, I believe they take refuge on the rooftop.
That works out well for him.
Yeah.
Because they all just... He-Man's flying his little glider, and they're like, on the rooftop, and Skeletor's like, put your weapons down. They go, okay. And they just put the weapons down.
Alright, sure.
He's by himself.
Well, yeah, Skeletor gets the drop on them in the least subtle vehicle possible.
Yeah. They're just chit-chatting, and all of a sudden this giant parade float just floats
Yeah.
up behind them.
I mean, it's just his throne and like some very phallic guns. And like 3 other dudes in these pods hanging off of it. It's like something Cobra would build.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It really was.
And it's not quiet. It's like whirr, it's just like lifting up over the roof.
But he certainly gets the drop on them. Like a million guys spill out of this thing onto the rooftop to hold everyone hostage. He-Man shows up, starts kicking some ass.
Like, he needs like 30 of them by himself.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because Tila and Man-at-Arms fire like 1 shot each from their guns at Skeletor, which he blocks with some kind of shield. And they're like, oh, that's all we got, I guess.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
It's fucking done.
I give up.
And they just give up.
Just give up.
Like, not even try to run for it. They just give up.
Oh, yeah. So He-Man starts kicking some ass on these guys for a little bit. At that point, Man-at-Arms and Tila again make a bit of an attempt. I think they knock out the guy holding them, and then Blades put a knife to their throat, and they're just done. They give up again. That seems to be what they do best.
Kicking their ass is kind of generous. Dolph Lundgren is basically just pushing these guys
Yeah,
around.
Yeah, it's true.
He slashes their chest plate and then they explode into sparks
Yeah.
and stuff. So they take He-Man back to Eternia and whip him with a Twizzler.
Yeah, He-Man agrees to be Skeletor's prisoner if it lets everybody else live. And Skeletor, at this point, he has used his Force Lightning to zap Courtney Cox in the leg and destroy the key.
Which is gross looking.
Yeah.
Super gross.
Really, like, for the audience this movie was going for, that was remarkably gross.
Not as gross as Gwildor eating that rib.
Yeah.
But still gross.
Or anything Little Critter did or was about.
It made me want to vomit earwax out in my ears.
But yeah, so like he tells He-Man to surrender at this point. He's like, okay, and he takes him back to Eternia. Which again, I don't understand. The the only thing that can stop him is He-Man. He just destroyed the only way for them to get back to Eternia. He just destroyed it. He could have left him there and been home free.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
he takes the one thing that can stop him back to the one place where he can be stopped.
the destroyed key, he leaves there.
For that matter, just once he's in chains, just be like, yeah, I lied and cut his throat. Like, that's all. Blades was right there. Just be like, cut his throat. He took his sword, cut his throat. Done. But no, takes him back, whips him, leaves everyone else behind with the broken piece of key, supposedly to let them rot. And makes a comment at this point. I want to note this. Makes a comment about soon you will die, and when you do, I will be reborn. Meaning nothing.
Nonsense exposition!
Yeah.
Nonsense dialogue!
It has nothing to do with anything that happens, but we'll get there. So Skeletor then
It's like, I
Has the key.
I think he meant to say that to Sorceress because she was dying as he was getting stronger. But he says it to He-Man.
he says it to He-Man. He takes the sword, he puts it in the holster, it glows, it opens photo lens or whatever, the moon starts shining through. He gains ultimate power.
Ultimate in quotation marks.
Yeah.
It's never explained
It
why this
opens
would
the
make
satellite
him
of Hexfield view screen.
Exactly. And at this point, he gets his 20-minute dialogue about whatever the hell he was
It
talking
really
about.
is a long,
Yeah.
long ass monologue.
At which point he crowns himself king of Mardi Gras.
Yeah, and he becomes a Super Saiyan.
Yeah, he sure does. He douses himself in gold, and he's ready to be master of the universe.
Well, I mean, like, since He-Man's already big and blonde, he becomes Vegeta.
I mean, really, it was like his helmet became like that spiky hair. 'Cause
Yeah.
It was like you took like a model of like the Black Tower or the Dark Tower, whatever, the Sauron's Tower from Lord of the Rings, and like put it on his head, spray painted it gold.
Yeah, that's
Like
pretty much
that's
it.
big. Yeah, that's what
Not
he's
just
wearing.
that, but again,
And added a
with,
few more spires onto it.
yeah, with our theme that we've had so far with this podcast, which is medieval bad guys need bat helmets, bat wings on their helmet. He had bat wings, but that wasn't enough. He needed horns, but he didn't want just horns facing the back way. He wanted ram horns facing forward and other horns on the front.
Some
And,
blades on there.
yeah, just like he could not decide what theme he wanted to go with, so he went with all of it.
Yeah.
Bedazzled the shit out of
Yeah,
that
it looks
thing.
like he put a chest plate on his head.
Basically.
A decorative chest plate.
I'll tell you what, I would not want to get a headbutt from him though.
Oh, yeah.
He would fall over those things.
Yeah.
Couldn't
And he'd
move
be
his head.
stuck in you.
I
What?
wouldn't want to get a headbutt from Dolph Lundgren either.
No.
So now our band of misfits back on Earth, trying to figure out how they can fix the key. Kevin, the boyfriend, goes back to Charlie's and finds a keyboard somehow.
It's revealed the universe is music.
Yes.
All you have to do is just remember the song and you can go back there.
I mean, like, if all you do is get high and listen to, like, some music and you think the same thing, so.
Yeah. So,
Pink
But yeah.
Floyd will take you to the land of Eternia if you really want it to.
I mean, probably Grateful Dead. Probably.
No, Grateful Dead will take you some weirder place than that. That's like Dr. Seuss land.
Dave Matthews Band will still sound like garbage, though.
Yes. That will take you to Uranus.
Sorry. But, yeah, so, they discover that Kevin can remember the sounds that the thing made exactly.
If I hear something a few times, I can remember how it sounds.
Yeah.
just like anybody else.
I also like that it's basically revealed at this point the Cosmic Key is two parts that every Eternian just carries on them and a keyboard.
Yep.
So, yay. But they managed to get that working.
The police officer shows up again, just like, oh, I'm going to be a jerk.
Yeah, he has some cops with him this time that he does nothing with.
Yeah.
Makes them stay behind.
Yeah.
He's like, we got to take him down quickly. Everybody else wait here, get in position. I'm going to sneak in slowly.
So he runs forward, tries to get them to stop, but they hit the button. They're all teleported to exactly where they need to be, with like half the scenery with them.
Yeah, they brought their own cover.
And I don't know
Yeah, they
really
did.
what their point was again, because they really didn't do much of anything.
They were a distraction.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, no, actually, that is not true.
They were more
Because
inspirational.
that
I'd say.
cop
Well-
shot the crap out of a ton of those.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, at
stormtroopers
this
with
point-
their
That is true.
shotguns.
Somehow this cop with a shotgun standing behind a bush takes out more of these stormtroopers with laser guns.
Then Tila and
Then
Man at
Tila
Arms.
and
Yeah,
Man at
Man at
Arms.
Arms
Yeah.
combined, yeah.
Yep. Which
Oh,
is
yeah.
ridiculous.
Well, because it's like the movie lasers. They don't do anything, but like
Well-
everybody has them.
Oh, this
And
is
like just take the shotgun and murder everybody.
I forgot to mention this, set this up earlier, but yeah, at one point this cop hides behind a car that some of these stormtroopers fire at with their lasers, and the car just explodes. But at this point, he's hiding behind like a bench in a bush. The rest of the team is hiding behind half a car, and they can't seem to hit them at all or do any kind of damage.
They're stormtroopers, man. I'm like, they went to the same school.
They set their lasers to conveniently not be effective.
I can justify that one because it's only the front half of that car.
Has the engine in it.
Yeah, the fuel tank that presumably would explode
Oh,
is still back on Earth.
Exploding.
Exploding, yeah.
fair enough.
Killing all those cops he left behind.
Considering they brought half the scenery, I would love to see what the cops were left with on that end.
I don't know.
But anyway, But yeah, so now He-Man is inspired to fight back for once. So he just makes some moves, and Skeletor tries to take him out, but he uses Skeletor's attack to free himself from the chains, and then just starts destroying everyone.
Yeah, because his ultimate power, he couldn't hit He-Man with his ultimate power.
Yeah, all the power in the universe, but apparently no aim.
He-Man's just really good at using human shields.
That is true. So He-Man gets up.
Yeah, also this was why I mentioned before the whole "you will die, I will be reborn," because at this point He-Man's escaping and he keeps yelling, "I want him alive."
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Mm-hmm.
He is reborn, He-Man is still alive. Why would you continue this? It's clearly a problem.
He wants somebody to talk to.
He wants his buddy.
Yeah, I also love, at this point, all of the mercenaries were just like, you know what? Like, we've had enough. We're done.
Yeah.
And they just leave.
Well, because they know
Yeah.
like he's gonna kill them next. So
But I actually did appreciate that, because Skeletor was nothing but an asshole to them.
Yeah.
They're like, you know what? Screw this guy. Whatever.
We're out.
So yeah, they take off, and then He-Man and Skeletor have their final showdown.
which I gotta say, like, He-Man just goes up to the throne and just pulls the sword out of whatever this thing is that's supposed to help, make this ultimate power. He just pulls it out.
Well, he's getting sort of electrocuted.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, the best part was how that started, because like he's going for it, and Skeletor's like zapping at it, like, "No, you won't." And like, "Yeah, I will." And like, "No, you won't." Like, just, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
That ultimate
I'm
power,
doing it.
Like, wasn't that ultimate?
No.
Yeah.
So he's Vegeta. I told you. Like,
Yeah.
But then
We'll never
He-Man,
meet our Goku.
He-Man
pulls
raises
the
his
sword.
sword aloft and says the words, "I have it."
I have power.
Yeah.
I have a tenuous grasp on the English language.
Exactly.
Which, yeah, I love. Not only was that poorly delivered, but it was clearly ADR'd in after, because the mouth was not matching up to
yeah.
any
Well,
of
actually,
that.
I was reading. They originally were planning on totally overdubbing everything Dolph Lundgren said, because at this point he just really did not know, the English accent that well. It's like he'd just gotten in from Sweden, and they just ran out of budget.
So it seems almost as if they recorded him earlier saying all these lines when he barely had a grasp of the English language, and then actually filmed him later when he was a little better at it, and said, "Screw it, we'll leave that in, but we'll
I don't know
still
about
dub
that
over
particular
parts."
scene. If they dubbed over that one.
Oh, they
But
clearly
why
did.
would they dub over it with that tape?
Well, that's
Like,
my
that tape
point.
was
Like
terrible.
that's the worst he sounded throughout this movie.
Might have been the best take.
Yeah.
yeah, that was the best take. It was
Clearly.
awful.
Well, like we were actually pointing that out at one point while we were watching it, that they only took like one take of many scenes, or if they took multiple,
Yeah.
the other ones must have been real shit.
Yeah.
It's like, remember he's trying to get through that door while the guy's coming by in the little hover scooter shooting at him.
The door falls
Like,
off.
he drops his sword, the door falls on him.
Yeah.
Like, all this stuff goes wrong, and they're like, no, that's perfect. That's
Leave it in.
Leave it.
exactly what we envisioned.
It's real.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now they have their final lightsaber duel.
They turn the lights down low in the background. It's just two of them with smoke around them and stuff.
Yeah.
Setting the mood and
And
stuff.
it's the worst choreography ever.
Ever.
It's
It's
like,
so slow and
it looks like it's in
I mean,
slow motion, but it's
You
not.
honestly could, like, just edit in the Final Fantasy menu where, like, someone's selecting it. Whatever, and it would work.
Yeah.
It would fit. Like, someone should totally
high
do that.
slash.
So all right, I'm gonna swing here. All right, ready? Here it comes.
So He-Man breaks Skeletor's staff.
Again, Skeletor has ultimate power from this whatever he did, but
His staff.
No.
He-Man just
He-Man has the power.
yes.
Yeah. Again, there's a bunch of exposition, but there's none that's important. Like, we didn't know Skeletor's power was in that staff. We didn't know anything about how that power was contained, or even, like, why
I don't
he
think
would
it was.
get it then. Well, he broke the staff, and suddenly he's not Super Saiyan anymore.
That's
Yeah.
true.
And then he just pushes him off into the
It's basically, it's just
elevator
how
shaft.
Emperor Palpatine dies.
It
Like,
Yeah.
literally is this.
Palpatine.
Oh yeah.
There was
He gets
lightning and
a
everything.
Palpatine
Like,
death. And then yeah, He-Man wins and everything's looking golden.
Send the kids back home.
Not before the lieutenant decides to stay behind, because now he has a castle and
Oh,
women
he's-
for
yeah,
some
he's got a
reason.
castle and a woman now. Yeah.
which they don't explain. He just
Yeah,
says,
just
"I have this now."
just happens.
he asked, they gave it to him. He was like,
Yeah,
"All right."
could be months later for all we know.
Oh,
Whatever.
this is true.
By way of my actions, these are now mine.
Well, maybe he just asked the sorcerers, like, can you just make stuff?
Like I said before with Gwildor and the chicken and stuff, like they have a system of we just take things. That's just how it is there.
Well, that's how he does it.
I want it.
He's
it's
a cop.
fine.
He's a cop in
Yeah.
this world. That's
I
how
want
he
your
does.
phone.
That's true.
I'll
Yeah,
take
he
it. It's
clearly
mine
Took
now.
stuff.
He clearly did not care for like proper law enforcement
Yeah,
procedure,
so I'm just
or,
taking this.
the Bill of Rights or anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, they open the cosmic key again, send the kids home back to Earth,
Courtney
and
Cox wakes up.
Well, Gwildor does say, where or when do you want to go? Because apparently the key can travel through time now.
Yeah.
They said he just says it can.
Well, he did say early on it could go anywhere.
Oh, okay.
He added a flux capacitor.
Yeah.
Yeah. It must
again,
have.
that always bugs me because if that's the case, the first time you went through there, wouldn't you go back in time before you gave her the key and just be done with it?
No, you're thinking too hard.
Yeah, way too hard.
Anyway, so yeah, Courtney Cox, they just say they want to go home, but at the last minute, Courtney Cox shouts out that something you don't really hear.
It's like, send me back. Like, that's
Yeah.
all she says.
But she wakes up in a sleeping bag, basically.
It's a nightgown, but
It
little
was
sleep
a
bag.
nightgown.
Yeah, it's like a 50s style nightgown.
Yeah.
And that thing was huge.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But she runs downstairs, and sure enough, her parents are still alive. They sent her back to before they went on their trip and died.
So, time travel, so it sends her back, but puts her back into her old body, not as she was. It was weird. It just broke my head. So,
Yeah.
So, if she went back in time, wouldn't she be herself back in time with another version of herself that was in the parent time? But no. It put her back in the body of herself back then.
So that means somewhere there's, they kidnapped another Courtney Cox.
Or, you would, I don't know. I don't know.
Tossed her forward in
Right,
time
who
or
knows
something.
how.
So we'll figure it all
Now
out
who's
when we
thinking
do
too
Free
hard?
Jack.
I don't know what free
Oh,
jack is.
God.
Oh, reject.
Jesus.
I don't know what that is. I'm scared.
In the meantime,
She
Mick Jagger
Mick
is
Jagger,
the main
yeah.
enemy.
And Emilio Estevez.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Emilio Estevez being chased around town by Mick Jagger.
Anyhow,
Is it scary like that David Bowie video where it was David Bowie where dancing in the streets where they're making out?
Yeah.
Is it scary like that?
I mean, you wouldn't want him to, you wouldn't want him to catch you.
I look at kiss me in that video. It's like, you're with me.
Yeah.
so
We don't want to catch
yeah.
anything from that movie.
Oh yeah. So she's like, don't go on your flight where you get killed. It's like I have a bad feeling about it, and it just takes their car keys. And they're like, hey, and she leaves. They're like,
Okay, guess we're not going.
Yeah, she said something about a bad feeling, grabbed her car keys, and ran outside in her nightgown.
Yeah.
Should we do something?
It's the 80s. We don't care that we spent that money on the flight. Whatever.
Well, I don't think they spent money on the flight. They apparently bought a plane because there was a
Yeah,
comment about the
Dad
father
was
is
a
the
good pilot.
pilot.
Oh, so she stole the plane keys.
I guess.
Yes, yeah.
that's even better.
We're gonna bury them in the graveyard where their bodies were.
Yeah, and then she runs into Kevin, and that's basically it, right? You see that
Yep.
little orb they were given.
Yeah.
Well, they gave him that orb right at the end, but they never really say what's the deal is with
Yeah,
that.
It's just it's a
Yeah, hold on to this attorney who will always be with you,
Yeah,
whatever
just-
the hell
Then
that
again,
means.
they send them back into the bodies of themselves, but how they keep the thing.
This is why I'm imagining, they opened this portal, they put them through it, they quickly went through a portal themselves, grabbed that other version of them, and now they're dead and buried somewhere, with the empty graves of her parents.
Would kill them first.
Yeah.
But
We
then,
don't need that version of Courtney Cox anymore.
They put her on the plane with the parents crashing. That's why the plane crashed.
That's why.
But it didn't crash because they couldn't have the bodies there. So He-Man just cut it with his sword, so
It's
it
like,
exploded.
I think
into
like Rick and Morty or something, where it just they keep
I
dying.
haven't seen that show.
Sorry. So yeah, credits. We get one last. I have the power or whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
And yeah, we get credits with
Credit
little
for Pig Boy.
For this one for
Pig
Pig
Boy.
Boy.
I didn't
I
see him in
didn't
the
see him
movie.
either.
I don't think he was in the movie.
See him.
He
He was
was.
cut out.
No, he was there. I saw him.
Okay.
Because it's such a small part. It's literally like, guy in the
frame?
background
Yeah.
holding a thing. Yeah,
Okay.
that's all it is.
But he's the last guy to get credit.
And he's the
so-
last guy. Yeah, last guy with the credit. But Pig Boy, the name Pig Boy stands out.
And then
And then our little stinger.
Skeletor's head pops up out of the Kool-Aid that he's floating in, and he just goes, "I'll be back." He won't.
Yeah,
Ever.
Of course.
Ever again.
That's it.
Okay, so the last question is, what do you think of this? What are your final thoughts on the movie?
So, like, I'm not gonna lie, as awful as it was, I'd watch this again. But I put it on in the background, it's like I'm doing something, and just like peek in to make fun of something, and then like go back to what I'm doing. I play it in the background. Because like, you know, it's one you have to pay attention to, because nothing makes sense in it, so it's just things still on the screen.
So you would recommend it?
Joe.
For that purpose, yeah.
Okay, so as a kid, I was not into He-Man at all. For some reason, that franchise just passed me. I played with toys a little bit. Maybe I watched the show a few times, but I had like no emotional connection to it at all. And I really didn't. I wasn't into like that Flash Gordon-y style sci-fi fantasy either. So like I didn't see this when I was a kid. I had just no interest or anything. It totally went by. So this was my first time seeing it. That being said, like I didn't feel any of that betrayal that like, oh, this was supposed to be the He-Man movie, you ruined it, you know. That wasn't He-Man, any of that. And like as an adult, I really love like Flash Gordon and that style, which is very prevalent in this movie. So I really wanted to like this movie. I was really into it at the beginning. I was digging the cheesy costumes, the obvious like painted sets, the like crappy plot. I was even okay with them coming to Earth with all of that. The vomiting the water out the ears legitimately grossed me out. But other than that, like I really tried to like this. But it's just the half-assed fight choreography, just the total like lack of effort. It disengaged me after a while, and at best, like you said, I could be watching it in the background, but even then, I think I would look for something else. Maybe if I was just had TV on and this was on, maybe I'd let it play in the background while I played some video games or something, but that's at best. So I would not recommend it.
I'm actually torn on this. I don't.
For a minute ago.
I grew up watching He-Man. Like I had the toys and everything, but you know, much kind of in the same vein. I don't feel that betrayal just because I don't really feel that way about that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's just, you know, it's a crappy movie, whatever. But the first half of this movie, I was like, you know, I could totally recommend this. This is totally watchable. And then the second half, I'm just like, why isn't this over yet? And it is because it's so half-assed. The choreography is just crap. And there were legitimately times where I felt embarrassed watching this movie. Like, it was just so stupid.
Shame.
I did, yeah. I felt ashamed watching it. So, ultimately, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to give this movie a pass. I'm going to say you should watch it at least once, just to experience it, and then forget about it. That's pretty much all I got.
Yeah. Again, I grew up with He-Man. I think more love for the toys probably than the show, because it hasn't escaped me that even then I knew, like, with the Christmas special and so on, it was not good. But I definitely grew up with this movie. I've seen it a number of times now, I'm sure. I don't even remember how many. And yeah, I definitely understand any problems anyone has with it. It certainly is flawed. But yeah, I would say at least a week recommend. Because, as you said, it's a seeing, it's a believing. It's something, a good hangover movie. It's something to have on in the background, as you said. You know, something that, or if you have friends over with a few drinks or whatever, you can enjoy laughing at it. And it's entertaining enough where you can get through it at least once. So, yeah, I would say yes. It wasn't painful to watch or anything like that, so.
It was a little painful.
Well,
it was a little painful.
Little painful, little embarrassing, but
that point where they're whipping him with the little energy whip, it's clear the guy whipping him doesn't know how to use a whip, and the person animating the energy whip that's whipping him doesn't know how to animate a whip.
Oh, yes.
It is really sad to watch.
Well, I've seen other movies where I just, like, there's nothing going on, it's putting me to sleep, or it hurts my head how stupid it is. This one, enough of it was entertaining. Either because the movie was actually entertaining or because it was so stupid that I found entertainment in it. But it's a good one to laugh at, if nothing else. So, yeah, I give it a recommend.
Okay.
All right.
That is three recommends?
That's 3 out of 4. Recommend.
Oh.
Okay.
Who saw that coming?
I will say it is not as bad as I was led to believe that it is, because everyone talks about this movie like it's the friggin' worst.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not that bad.
It's not the worst.
It's just
I think
not good.
probably because a lot of the reviews you've seen and so on are people that watch this as one of their first movies, and it's bad enough that if you haven't seen other more terrible things, it seems horrendous. Yeah, once you get past that a little, you know there's much worse out there.
So now it is time for the D20 of fate, the 20-sided die that will decide which movie we watch next. I have a list in front of me of 20 movies that we've picked. I'm going to give it a spin, and let's see what we get.
It is a giant D20, by the way.
It is a massive D20.
You're welcome.
Huzzah! 15. Harry and the Hendersons. Tune in next time for that cinematic treasure.
Thank you for joining us.
Can I be honest? I was kind of pulling for that one. So.
I can't imagine why. Alright. Well, thank you for listening. We hope you join us next time.
Bye-bye.
Deuces.
So, yeah, thank you guys so very much for listening. We are the 4am Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at 4am Podcast. That's number 4. You can find us on Tumblr at 4am Podcast. Gmail at the4ampodcast@gmail.com. And, of course, subscribe to our podcast and rate us on iTunes if we're on iTunes. In the meantime, thanks, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.
I figured. Didn't pan out.
Done it. It done it.